You can't cross the sea merely by standing and staring at the water. Faith is the bird that feels the light when the dawn is still dark. The butterfly counts not months but moments, and has time enough. Let your life lightly dance on the edges of time like dew on the tip of a leaf. Everything comes to us that belongs to us if we create the capacity to receive it. Let us not pray to be sheltered from dangers but to be fearless when facing them. Clouds come floating into my life, no longer to carry rain or usher storm, but to add color to my sunset sky. Beauty is truth's smile when she beholds her own face in a perfect mirror. Don't limit a child to your own learning, for he was born in another time. Do not say, "It is morning," and dismiss it with a name of yesterday. See it for the first time as a newborn child that has no name. Depth of friendship does not depend on length of acquaintance. I have become my own version of an optimist. If I can't make it through one door, I'll go through another door, or I'll make a door. Something terrific will come no matter how dark the present. The highest education is that which does not merely give us information but makes our life in harmony with all existence. In art, man reveals himself and not his objects. The flower which is single need not envy the thorns that are numerous. By plucking her petals, you do not gather the beauty of the flower. Death is not extinguishing the light, it is only putting out the lamp because the dawn has come. We live in the world when we love it. Love is not a mere impulse, it must contain truth, which is law. Life is given to us, we earn it by giving it. Every child comes with the message that God is not yet discouraged of man. To be outspoken is easy when you do not wait to speak the complete truth. We gain freedom when we have paid the full price. Facts are many, but the truth is one. Love is an endless mystery, for it has nothing else to explain it. Love is the only reality and it is not a mere sentiment. It is the ultimate truth that lies at the heart of creation. Love does not claim possession, but gives freedom. He who is too busy doing good finds no time to be good. Trees are Earth's endless effort to speak to the listening heaven. I slept and dreamt that life was joy. I awoke and saw that life was service. I acted and behold, Service was joy. From the solemn gloom of the temple children run out to sit in the dust, God watches them play and forgets the priest. Emancipation from the bondage of the soil is no freedom for the tree. Gray hairs are signs of wisdom. If you hold your tongue, speak, and they are but hairs, as in the young. We come nearest to the great when we are great in humility. Trees are the earth's endless effort to speak to the listening heaven. Your idol is shattered in the dust to prove that God's dust is greater than your idol. Nirvana is not the blowing out of the candle. It is the extinguishing of the flame, because day is come. The water in a vessel is sparkling, the water in the sea is dark. The small truth has words which are clear, the great truth has great silence. A mind all logic is like a knife all blade. It makes the hand bleed that uses it. Bigotry tries to keep truth safe in its hand with a grip that kills it. What is art? It is the response of man's creative soul to the call of the real. Those who own much have much to fear. If you shut the door to all errors, truth will be shut out. The burden of the self is lightened with I laugh at myself. We believe that mere movement is life, and that the more velocity it has, the more it expresses vitality. When I bring you colored toys, my child, I understand why there is such a play of colors on clouds, on water, and why flowers are painted in tints. Man has a fund of emotional energy which is not all occupied with his self-preservation. This surplus seeks its outlet in the creation of art, for man's civilization is built upon his surplus. In everyday life, when we are mostly moved by our habit. Let this be my last word, that I trust in your love. Love gives beauty to everything it touches. Not greed and utility, they produce offices, but not dwelling houses. To be able to love material things, to clothe them with tender grace, and yet not be attached to them, this is a great service. Providence. Music is the purest form of art, therefore true poets, they who are seers, seek to express the universe in terms of music. The singer has everything within him. The notes come out from his very life. They are not materials gathered from outside. Never be afraid of the moments, thus sings the voice of the everlasting. Obstacles are necessary companions to expression, and we know that the positive element in language is not in its obstructiveness. Exclusively viewed from the side of the obstacle, nature appears inimical to the idea of morality. But if that were abs. Objects of knowledge maintain an infinite distance from us who are the knowers. For knowledge is not union. Therefore the further world of freedom awaits us there where we reach truth, not through feeling it by senses or knowing it by reason, but thr. I believe that there is an ideal hovering over the earth, an ideal of that paradise which is not the mere outcome of imagination, but the ultimate reality towards which all things are moving. I believe that this vision of paradise is to be seen in th. I have spent my days stringing and unstringing my instrument while the song I came to sing remains unsung. If I say that he is within me, the universe is ashamed. If I say that he is without me, it is falsehood. He who wants to do good knocks at the gate, he who loves finds the gate open. He is neither manifest nor hidden, he is neither revealed nor unrevealed, there are no words to tell that which he is. He is without form, without quality, without decay. We can make truth ours by actively modulating its interrelations. This is the work of art, for reality is not based in the substance of things but in the principle of relationship. Truth is the infinite pursued by metaphysics, fact is the infinite P. We can look upon a road from two different points of view. One regards it as dividing us from the object of desire. In that case we count every step of our journey over it as something attained by force in the face of obstruction. The other sees it a God seeks comrades and claims love, the devil seeks slaves and claims obedience. God respects me when I work, but he loves me when I sing. Gross utility kills beauty. We now have all over the world huge production of things, huge organizations, huge administrations of empire, all obstructing the path of life. Civilization is waiting for a great consummation, for an expression of its so. It is our desires that limit the scope of our self-realization, hinder our extension of consciousness, and give rise to sin, which is the innermost barrier that keeps us apart from our God, setting up disunion and arrogance of exclusiveness. For sin. Languages are jealous sovereigns, and passports are rarely allowed for travelers to cross their strictly guarded borders. Our nature is obscured by work done by the compulsion of want or fear. The mother reveals herself in the service of her children, so our true freedom is not the freedom from action but freedom in action, which can only be attained in the work of love. Some have thought deeply and explored the meaning of thy truth, and they are great. I have listened to catch the music of thy play, and I am glad. Nationality is respectable only when it is on the defense, when it is waging wars of liberation it is sacred, when those of domination it is accursed. Let me not pray to be sheltered from dangers, but to be fearless in facing them. Let me not beg for the stilling of my pain, but for the heart to conquer it. Man's cry is to reach his fullest expression. We live in this world when we love it. We could have no communication whatever with our surroundings if they were absolutely foreign to us. Man is reaping success every day, and that shows there is a rational connection between him and nature, for we never can make anything our own except those institutions which are static in their nature raise walls of division. This is why, in the history of religions, priesthood has always maintained dissensions and hindered the freedom of man. But the principle of life unites, it deals with The picture of a flower in a botanical book is information, its mission ends with our knowledge. But in pure art it is a personal communication. And therefore until it finds its harmony in the depth of our personality it misses the mark. We can treat. When we rejoice in our fullness, then we can part without fruits with joy. Want of love is a degree of callousness, for love is the perfection of consciousness. We do not love because we do not comprehend, or rather we do not comprehend because we do not love. For love is the ultimate meaning of everything around us. It is. To understand anything is to find in it something which is our own, and it is the discovery of ourselves outside us which makes us glad. This relation of understanding is partial, but the relation of love is complete. In love the sense of difference. There are men whose idea of life is tactic, who long for its continuation after death only because of their wish for permanence and not perfection. They love to imagine that the things to which they are accustomed will persist forever. They complete. Truth cannot afford to be tolerant where it faces positive evil. The progress of our soul is like a perfect poem. It has an infinite idea which once realized makes all movements full of meaning and joy. But if we detach its movements from that ultimate idea, if we do not see the infinite rest and only see the infinite, the question why there is evil in existence is the same as why there is imperfection. But this is the real question we ought to ask. Is this imperfection the final truth? Is evil absolute and ultimate? Faith is the bird that feels the light and sings when the dawn is still dark. We gain freedom when we have paid the full price for our right to live. We do not raise our hands to the void for things beyond hope. Every child comes with the message that God is not yet discouraged of humanity. The revilement of the infinite in the finite, which is the motive of all creation, is not seen in its perfection in the starry heavens, in the beauty of the flowers. It is in the soul of man. The traveler has to knock at every alien door to come to his own, and he has to wander through all the outer worlds to reach the innermost shrine at the end. Things are distinct not in their essence but in their appearance, in other words, in their relation to one to whom they appear. This is art, the truth of which is not in substance or logic, but in expression. Abstract truth may belong to science and The smile that flickers on baby's lips when he sleeps, does anybody know where it was born? Yes, there is a rumor that a young pale beam of a crescent moon touched the edge of a vanishing autumn cloud, and there the smile was first born. The tendency in modern civilization is to make the world uniform. Let the mind be universal. The individual should not be sacrificed. So our daily worship of God is not really the process of gradual acquisition of Him, but the daily process of surrendering ourselves, removing all obstacles to union and extending our consciousness of Him in devotion and service, in goodness and in L. Science urges us to occupy by our mind the immensity of the knowable world. Our spiritual teacher enjoins us to comprehend by our soul the infinite spirit which is in the depth of the moving and changing facts of the world, the urging of our artistic. The most important lesson that man can learn from his life is not that there is pain in this world, but that it depends upon him to turn it into good account, that it is possible for him to transmute it into joy. Man's freedom is never in being saved. The burden of self is lightened when I laugh at myself. Your mission is proving that a love for the earth, and for the things of the earth, is possible without materialism, a love without greed. I entreat you not to be turned by the call of vulgar strength, of stupendous size, by the spirit of storage. The object of education is to give man the unity of truth. Formerly, when life was simple, all the different elements of man were in complete harmony. But when there came the separation of the intellect from the spiritual and the physical, the school. The best of us still have our aspirations for the supreme goals of life, which is so often mocked by prosperous people who now control the world. We still believe that the world has a deeper meaning than what is apparent, and that therein the human s. Taking shelter in the dead is death itself, and only taking all the risk of life to the fullest extent is living. India chose her places of pilgrimages on the top of hills and mountains, by the side of the holy rivers, in the heart of forests and by the shores of the ocean, which along with the sky, is our nearest visible symbol of the vast, the boundless, the I. In love, at one of its poles you find the personal, at the other the impersonal. At one you have the positive assertion, here I am, at the other the equally strong denial, I am not. Without this ego what is love? And again, with only this ego how see? In love all the contradiction of existence merge themselves and are lost. Only in love are unity and duality not at variance. Love must be one and two at the same time. Only love is motion and rest in one. Our heart ever changes its place till it fin. I miss the meaning of my own part in the play of life because I know not the parts that others play. I have no faith in my works. I know time's ocean, its lashing of waves, day by day, will erase them. My faith is in myself. In the dualism of death and life there is a harmony. We know that the life of a soul, which is finite in its expression and infinite in its principle, must go through the portals of death in its journey to realize the infinite. It is death which is M. In our desire for eternal life we pray for an eternity of our habit and comfort, forgetting that immortality is in repeatedly transcending the definite forms of life in order to pursue the infinite truth of life. In the night we stumble over things and become acutely conscious of their separateness, but the day reveals the unity which embraces them. And the man whose inner vision is bathed in consciousness at once realizes the spiritual unity which reigns over. If you shut your door to all errors, truth will be shut out. Beauty is in the ideal of perfect harmony which is in the universal being, truth the perfect comprehension of the universal mind. We individuals approach it through our own mistakes and blunders, through our accumulated experience, through our alumni. The man who aims at his own aggrandizement underrates everything else. The man whose acquaintance with the world does not lead him deeper than science leads him, will never understand what it is that the man with the spiritual vision finds in these natural phenomena. The water does not merely cleanse his limbs, but it All men have poetry in their hearts, and it is necessary for them, as much as possible, to express their feelings. For this they must have a medium, moving and pliant, which can refreshingly become their own, age after age. All great languages undergo change. Those languages which resist the spirit of change are doomed and will never produce great harvests of thought and literature. When forms become fixed, the spirit either weakly accepts its imprisonment or rebels. All revolutions consists of the within fighting against invasion from without. All great human movements are related to some great idea. The emancipation of our physical nature is in attaining health, of our social being in attaining goodness, and of ourself in attaining love. The fountain of death makes the still waters of life play. The current of the world has its boundaries, otherwise it could have no existence, but its purpose is not shown in the boundaries which restrain it, but in its movement, which is toward perfection. The wonder is not that there should be obstacles and a mind all logic is like a knife all blade. A message came from my youth of vanished days, saying, I wait for you among the quivering of unborn May, where smiles ripen for tears and hours ache with songs unsung. It says, come to me across the worn-out track of age, through the gates of death. For dreams fade, hopes fail, the fathered fruits of the year decay, but I am the eternal truth, and you shall meet me again and again in your voyage of life from shore to shore. The birds looked upon me as nothing but a man, quite a trifling creature without wings, and they would have nothing to do with me. Were it not so, I would build a small cabin for myself among their crowd of nests and pass my days counting the sea waves. He it is, the innermost one, who awakens my being with his deep hidden touches. He it is who puts his enchantment upon these eyes and joyfully plays on the chords of my heart in varied cadence of pleasure and pain. The hours trip rapidly away, hiding their dreams in their skirts. O poor, unthinking human heart! Error will not go away, logic and reason are slow to penetrate that we cling with both arms to false hope, refusing to believe in the weightiest proofs against it, embracing it with all our strength. In the end it escapes, ripping our veins and draining our heart's blood, until, regaining consciousness, we rush to fall into snares of delusion all over again. If God had so wished, He could have made all Indians speak one language. The unity of India has been and shall always be a unity in diversity. I have observed, on board a steamer, how men and women easily give way to their instinct for flirtation, because water has the power of washing away our sense of responsibility, and those who on land resemble the oak in their firmness behave like floating seaweed when on the sea. Joy is there everywhere. It is superfluous, unnecessary, nay, it very often contradicts the most peremptory behests of necessity. It exists to show that the bonds of law can only be explained by love. They are like body and soul. Joy is the realization of the truth of oneness, the oneness of our soul with the world and of the world soul with the Supreme Lover. Saltwater heals, healing referring to its various forms. Tears, cleanses and heals the soul. Sweat, cleanses through labor. The ocean, heals in all its forms. Who are you, 100 years from today, reading my poetry with curiosity? Obstinate are the trammels, but my heart aches when I try to break them. Freedom is all I want, but to hope for it I feel ashamed. I am certain that priceless wealth is in thee, and that thou art my best friend, but I have not the heart to sweep away the tinsel that fills my room. The shroud that covers me is a shroud of dust and death. I hate it, yet hug it in love. My debts are large, my failures great, my shame secret and heavy, yet when I come to ask for my good, I quake in fear lest my prayer be granted. By all means they try to hold me secure who love me in this world. But it is otherwise with thy love which is greater than theirs, and thou keepst me free. Lest I forgot them they never venture to leave me alone. But day passes by after day and thou art not seen. If I call not thee in my prayers, if I keep not thee in my heart, thy love for me still waits for my love. Let my thoughts come to you, when I am gone, like the afterglow of sunset at the margin of starry silence. He alone may chastise who loves. To be constantly changing one's plans isn't decision at all, it's indecision. Mistakes live in the neighborhood of truth and therefore delude us. The spirit of rejection finds its support in the consciousness of separateness. The spirit of acceptance finds its base in the consciousness of unity. The significance which is in unity is an eternal wonder. The force of arms only reveals man's weakness. Work, especially good work, becomes easy only when desire has learned to discipline itself. False hope is clung to with all one's might and main, till a day comes when it has sucked the heart dry and it forcibly breaks through its bonds and departs. After that comes the misery of awakening, and then once again the longing to get back into the maze of the same mistakes. Our responsibility is no longer to acquire, but to be. Our creation is the modification of relationship. Memory, the priestess, kills the present and offers its heart to the shrine of the dead past. It is no easy task to lead men, but it is easy enough to drive them. When the heat and motion of blind impulses and passions distracted on all sides, we can neither give nor receive anything truly. But when we find our center in our soul by the power of self-restraint, by the force that harmonizes all warring element. In the drowsy dark cave of the mind dreams build their nest with fragments dropped from day's caravan. Do not blame the food because you have no appetite. Children who are decked with princes' robes and who have jeweled chains round their necks lose all pleasure in play. Their dress hampers them at every step. In fear that it may be frayed, or stained with dust, they keep themselves from the world and are afraid ever to move. Mother, it is no gain, thy bondage of finery, if it keep one shut off from the healthful dust of the earth, if it rob one of the right of entrance to the great fair of common human life. I sit at my window gazing, the world passes by, nods to me and is gone. Leave out my name from the gift if it be a burden, but keep my song. The thing which seems so glorious when viewed from the heights of the country's cause looks so muddy when seen from the bottom. One begins by getting angry and then feels disgusted. I never give answers. I lead on from one question to another. That is my leadership. In the mountain, stillness surges up to explore its own height. In the lake, movement stands still to contemplate its own depth. Let the splendor of diamond, pearl, and ruby vanish. Only let this one teardrop, this Taj Mahal, glisten spotlessly bright on the cheek of time, forever and ever. We are hidden in ourselves, like a truth hidden in isolated facts. When we know that this one in us is one in all, then our truth is revealed. The birth and death of leaves is part of that greater cycle that moves among the stars. Things in which we do not take joy are either a burden upon our minds to be got rid of at any cost, or they are useful, and therefore in temporary and partial relation to us, becoming burdensome when their utility is lost, or they are like wandering vagabonds, loitering for a moment on the outskirts of our recognition, and then passing on. A thing is only completely our own when it is a thing of joy to us. I have spent many days stringing and unstringing my instrument while the song I came to sing remains unsung. Let it not be death, but completeness. Let love melt into memory and pain into songs. Let the flight through the sky end in the folding of the wings over the nest. Let the last touch of your hands be gentle like the flower of the night. Stand still, O beautiful end, for a moment, and say your last words in silence. I bow to you and hold up my lamp to light you on your way. My heart, the bird of the wilderness, has found its sky in your eyes. They are the cradle of the morning, they are the kingdom of the stars. My songs are lost in their depths. Let me but soar in that sky, in its lonely immensity. Let me but cleave its clouds and spread wings in its sunshine. The echo mocks her origin to prove she is the original. The greed for fruit misses the flower. Today I feel that I shall win through. I have come to the gateway of the simple, I am now content to see things as they are. I have gained freedom myself, I shall allow freedom to others. In my work will be my salvation. Come, O come ye tea-thirsty restless ones, the kettle boils, bubbles and sings, musically. Some day I shall sing to thee in the sunrise of some other world, I have seen thee before in the light of the earth, in the love of man. For we women are not only the deities of the household fire, but the flame of the soul itself. I am willing to serve my country, but my worship I reserve for right which is far greater than my country. To worship my country as a god is to bring a curse upon it. Ah, thou hast made my heart captive in the endless meshes of thy music, my master. You are the big drop of dew under the lotus leaf, I am the smaller one on its upper side, said the dewdrop to the lake. My friend, art thou abroad on this stormy night on thy journey of love, my friend? The sky groans like one in despair. I have no sleep tonight. Ever and again I open my door and look out on the darkness, my friend. I can see nothing before me. I wonder where lies thy path. By what dim shore of the ink-black river, by what far edge of the frowning forest, through what mazy depth of gloom art thou threading thy course to come to me, my friend? The smile that flickers on a baby's lips when he sleeps, does anyone know where it was born? Yes, there is a rumor that a young pale beam of a crescent moon touched the edge of a vanishing autumn cloud, and there the smile was first born in the dream of a dew-washed morning. This principle of opposites is at the very root of creation, which is divided between the rule of the king and the queen, night and day, the one and the varied, the eternal and the evolving. That which is eternal within the moment only becomes shallow if spread out in time. The question and the cry, oh, where, melt into tears of 1,000 streams and deluge the world with the flood of the assurance, I am. That I exist is a perpetual surprise which is life. One who has never known the turbulence of life, in whom the petals of the mysterious flower within have never opened, such a one may seem happy, may seem a saint. His single-track mind may impress the multitude with its power, but he is ill-equipped for life's true adventure into the infinite. Life's fulfillment finds constant obstacles in its path, but those are necessary for the sake of its advance. The stream is saved from the sluggishness of its current by the perpetual opposition of the soil through which it must cut its way. The spirit of fight belongs to the genius of life. Music is the purest form of art, therefore true poets seek to express the universe in terms of music. The singer has everything within him. The notes come out from his very life. They are not materials gathered from outside. Love's overbrimming mystery joins death and life. It has filled my cup of pain with joy. There is a point where in the mystery of existence contradictions meet, where movement is not all movement and stillness is not all stillness, where the idea and the form, the within and the without, are united, where infinite becomes finite, yet not losing its infinity. If this meeting is dissolved, then things become unreal. On each race is laid the duty to keep alight its own lamp of mind as its part in the illumination of the world. To break the lamp of any people and to deprive it of its rightful place in the world festival. I will sit in the pupil of your eyes, and that will carry your sight into the heart of the things. Only thee that I want thee, only thee let my heart repeat without end. All desires that distract me, day and night, are false and empty to the core. As the night keeps hidden in its gloom the petition for light, even thus in the depth of my unconsciousness rings the cry, I want thee, only thee. As the storm still seeks its end in peace when it strikes against peace with all its might, even thus my rebellion strikes against thy love and still its cry is, I want thee, only thee. Blessed is he whose fame does not outshine his truth. Give me strength, this is my prayer to thee, my Lord. Strike at the root of penury in my heart. Give me the strength lightly to bear my joys and sorrows. Give me the strength to make my love fruitful in service. Give me the strength never to disown the poor or bend my knees before insolent might. Give me the strength to raise my mind high above daily trifles. And give me the strength to surrender my strength to thy will with love. The trees come up to my window like the yearning voice of the dumb earth. The world puts off its mask of vastness to its lover. It becomes small as one song, as one kiss of the eternal. Everything has sprung from immortal life and is vibrating with life, for life is immense. I touch God and my sun gas the hill, touch the faraway sea with its waterfall. A dewdrop is a perfect integrity that has no filial memory of its parentage. To the birds you gave songs, the birds gave you songs in return. You gave me only a voice, yet asked for more, thus I sing. It means that God's creation has not its source in any necessity, it comes from His fullness of joy, it is His love that creates, therefore in creation is His own revealment. I thought that my invincible power would hold the world captive, leaving me in a freedom undisturbed. Thus night and day I worked at the chain with huge fires and cruel heartstrokes. When at last the work was done and the links were complete and unbreakable, I found that it held me in its grip. God finds Himself by creating. Where the mind is led forward by Thee into ever-widening thought and action into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. Whatever character our theology may ascribe to Him, in reality God is the infinite ideal of man, towards whom men move in their collective growth, with whom they seek their union of love as individuals, in whom they find their ideal of Father, friend, and beloved. God is neither manifest nor hidden, He is neither revealed nor unrevealed, there are no words to tell that which He is. He is without form, without quality, without decay. Asks the possible of the impossible, where is your dwelling place? In the dreams of the impotent, comes the answer. Man discovers his own wealth when God comes to ask gifts of him. God, the great giver, can open the whole universe to our gaze in the narrow space of a single land. Power takes as ingratitude the writhing of its victims. Say of him what you please, but I know my child's failings. I do not love him because he is good, but because he is my little child. How should you know how dear he can be when you try to weigh his merits against his faults? When I must punish him he becomes all the more a part of my being. When I cause his tears to come my heart weeps with him. I alone have a right to blame and punish, for he only may chastise who loves. Poems on life. Life is given to us, we earn it by giving it. Let the dead have the immortality of fame, but the living the immortality of love. Life's errors cry for the merciful beauty that can modulate their isolation into a harmony with the whole. Life, like a child, laughs, shaking its rattle of death as it runs. The potentiality of perfection outweighs actual contradictions. Existence in itself is here to prove that it cannot be an evil. Poems on love. Love adorns itself, it seeks to prove inward joy by outward beauty. Love does not claim possession, but gives freedom. Love is an endless mystery, for it has nothing else to explain it. Love's gift cannot be given, it waits to be accepted. Poems on time. The butterfly counts not months but moments, and has time enough. Time is a wealth of change, but the clock in its parity makes it mere change and no wealth. Let your life lightly dance on the edges of time like dew on the tip of a leaf. Love adorns itself, it seeks to prove inward joy by outward beauty. Please is frail like a dewdrop, while it laughs it dies. But sorrow is strong and abiding. Let sorrowful love wake in your eyes. Faith is a bird that can see the light and it is dawn and starts singing in the dark. Other animals ran only when they had a reason, but the horse would run for no reason whatever, as if to run out of his own skin. The child ever dwells in the mystery of ageless time unobscured by the dust of history. Perhaps the crescent moon smiles in doubt at being told that it is a fragment awaiting perfection. Yes, all my illusions will burn into illumination of joy, and all my desires ripen into fruits of love. Oh, grant me my prayer, that I may never lose the touch of the one in the play of the many. Someone spilled the ink on the canvas. Now boasts, I painted the night. In the world's audience hall, the simple blade of grass sits on the same carpet with the sunbeams, and the stars of midnight. The first flower that blossomed on this earth was an invitation to an unborn song. O woman, you are not merely the handiwork of God, but also of men. These are ever endowing you with beauty from their own hearts. You are one half woman and one half dream. That which oppresses me, is it my soul trying to come out in the open, or the soul of the world knocking at my heart for entrance? Thou hast made me endless, such is thy pleasure. This frail vessel thou emptiest again and again, and feedest it ever with fresh life. The danger inherent in all force grows stronger when it is likely to gain success, for then it becomes temptation. I am restless. I am athirst for faraway things. My soul goes out in a longing to touch the skirt of the dim distance. O great beyond, O the keen call of thy flute. I ever forget, that I have no wings to fly, that I am bound in this spot evermore. By unrighteousness man prospers, gains what appears desirable, conquer enemies, but perishes of the root. I am hidden in your heart, O flower. The pious sectarian is proud because he is confident of his right of possession in God. The man of devotion is meek because he is conscious of God's right of love over his life and soul. Alas, why are my nights all thus lost? Ah, why do I ever miss his sight whose breath touches my sleep? By touching you may kill, by keeping away you may possess. The fish in the water is silent, the animals on the earth is noisy, the bird in the air is singing. But man has in him the silence of the sea, the noise of the earth and the music of the air. Death belongs to life as birth does the walk is in the raising of the foot as in the laying of it down. God seeks comrades and claims love, the devil seeks slaves and claims obedience. If you allow your mind to carp at all and sundry, it will turn against itself. The majority of our sorrows are self-inflicted. When he has the power to see things detached from self-interest and from the insistent claims of the lust of the senses, then alone can he have the true vision of the beauty that is everywhere. In desperate hope I go and search for her in all the corners of my house. I find her not. My house is small, and what once has gone from it can never be regained. But infinite is thy mansion, my Lord, and seeking her I have come to thy door. To tyrannize for the country is to tyrannize over the country. When old words die out on the tongue, new melodies break forth from the heart, and where the old tracks are lost, new country is revealed with its wonders. When I think of ages past that have floated down the stream of life and love and death, I feel how free it makes us to pass away. Let only that little be left of me whereby I may name thee my all. Let only that little be left of my will whereby I may feel thee on every side, and come to thee in everything, and offer to thee my love every moment. Let only that little be left of me whereby I may never hide thee. Let only that little of my fetters be left whereby I am bound with thy will, and thy purpose is carried out in my life, and that is the fetter of thy love. For the current of our spiritual life creeds, rituals and channels that may thwart or help, according to their fixity or openness. When a symbol or spiritual idea becomes rigidly elaborate in its construction, it supplants the idea which it should support. Life, like a child, laughs, shaking its rattle of death as it runs. Melody and harmony are like lines and colors in pictures. A simple linear picture may be completely beautiful, the introduction of color may make it vague and insignificant. Yet color may, by combination with lines, create great pictures, so long as it does not smother and destroy their value. Dreams can never be made captive. We sit inert, like dead specimens of some museum, while lessons are pelted at us from on high, like hailstones on flowers. The meaning of the living words that come out of the experiences of great hearts can never be exhausted by any one system of logical interpretation. They have to be endlessly explained by the commentaries of individual lives, and they gain an added mystery in each new revelation. If I call not thee in my prayers, if I keep not thee in my heart, thy love for me still waits for my love. In love, at one of its poles you find the personal, and at the other the impersonal. At one you have the positive assertion, here I am, at the other the equally strong denial, I am not. Without this ego what is love? And again, with only this ego how can love be possible? Bondage and liberation are not antagonistic in love. For love is most free and at the same time most bound. If God were absolutely free there would be no creation. The infinite being has assumed unto himself the mystery of finitude. And in him who is love the finite and the infinite are made one. Days come and ages pass, and it is ever he who moves my heart in many a name, in many a guise, in many a rapture of joy and of sorrow. Deliverance is not for me in renunciation. I feel the embrace of freedom in 1,000 bonds of delight. Let the dead have the immortality of fame, but the living the immortality of love. Our self, soul, is Maya, an illusion, where it is merely individual and finite, where it considers its separateness as absolute. It is Satyam, truth, where it recognizes its essence in the universal and infinite, in the Supreme Self, in Paramatman, God. This is what Christ means when he says, "Before Abraham was, I am," i.e. before Abraham was God, who is the same that is in my soul, I am that. Those who draw their sustenance from science are blessed. It is for me to only derive an occasional pleasure. This is nothing worthy of conceit, but I am indeed touched by the joys. This book is an ode to such joys, a digest of my collections from various sources. Man is a rough-hewn and woman a finished product. I ask my destiny, what power is this that cruelly drives me onward without rest? My destiny says, look round. I turn back and see it is I myself that is ever pushing me from behind. Pessimism is a form of mental dipsomania. It disdains healthy nourishment, indulges in the strong drink of denunciation, and creates an artificial dejection which thirsts for a stronger draught. Man's freedom is never in being saved from troubles, but it is the freedom to take trouble for his own good, to make the trouble an element in his joy. Repentance is a gift of God's grace. The delights of sight and hearing and touch will bear thy delight. The bird thinks it a favor to give the fish a lift in the air. Truth reveals itself in beauty. I am ashamed of my emptiness, said the word to the work. I know how poor I am when I see you, said the work to the word. It's far better to make people angry than to make them ashamed. The realization of our soul has its moral and its spiritual side. The moral side represents training of unselfishness, control of desire. The spiritual side represents sympathy in love. They should be taken together and never separated. The cultivation of the merely moral side of our nature leads us to the dark region of narrowness and hardness of heart, to the intolerant arrogance of goodness. And the cultivation of the merely spiritual side of our nature leads us to a still darker region of revelry in intemperance of imagination. I have long been an ardent believer in the science of homeopathy, and I feel happy that it has got now a greater hold in India than even in the land of its origin. It is not merely a collection of a few medicines but a real science with a rational philosophy at its base. We require more scientific interest and inquiry into the matter with special stress upon the Indian environment. Those who in this world have the courage to try and solve in their own lives new problems of life, are the ones who raise society to greatness. To the guests that must go, bid God speed and brush away all traces of their steps. Religion is not a fractional thing that can be doled out in fixed weekly or daily measures as one among various subjects in the school syllabus. It is the truth of our complete being, the consciousness of our personal relationship with the infinite. Whenever our life is stirred by truth, it expresses energy and comes to be filled, as it were, with a creative ardor. This consciousness of the creative urge is evidence of the force of truth on our mind. With begging and scrambling we find very little, but with being true to ourselves we find a great deal more. Man is worse than an animal when he is an animal. There is no next after you are dead and gone from your own world. We do not want nowadays temples of worship and outward rites and ceremonies. What we really want is an ashram. We want a place where the beauty of nature and the noblest pursuits of man are in a sweet harmony. Bravery ceases to be bravery at a certain point, and becomes mere foolhardiness. Boasting is only a masked shame, it does not truly believe in itself. The human soul is on its journey from the law to love, from discipline to liberation, from the moral plane to the spiritual. Plunge into the deep without fear, with the gladness of April in your heart. Life's aspirations come in the guise of children. If it is necessary to die in order to live like men, what harm in dying? It dances today, my heart, like a peacock it dances, it dances. It sports a mosaic of passions like a peacock's tail, it soars to the sky with delight, it quests, oh wildly, it dances today, my heart, like a peacock it dances. The soil in return for her service keeps the tree tied to her, the sky asks nothing and leaves it free. Men can only think. Women have a way of understanding without thinking. Woman was created out of God's own fancy. Man, he had to hammer into shape. He only has freedom who ideally loves freedom himself and is glad to extend it to others. He who cares to have slaves must chain himself to them. He who builds walls to create exclusion for others builds walls across his own freedom. He who distrusts freedom in others loses his moral right to it. At the immortal touch of thy hands my little heart loses its limits in joy and gives birth to utterance ineffable. The speech of my heart will be carried on in murmurings of a song. When you have once taken up a responsibility, you must see it through. The music of the faraway summer flutters around the autumn seeking its former nest. Religion, like poetry, is not a mere idea, it is expression. The self-expression of God is in the endless variety of creation. And our attitude toward the infinite being must also in its expression have a variety of individuality ceaseless and unending. Our scientific world is our world of reasoning. It has its greatness and uses and attractions. We are ready to pay homage due to it. But when it claims to have discovered the real world for us and laughs at the worlds of all simple-minded men, then we must say it is like a general grown intoxicated with his power, usurping the throne of his king. It is the same life that emerges in joy through the dust of the earth into numberless waves of flower. When we accept any discipline for ourselves, we try to avoid everything except that which is necessary for our purpose. It is this purposefulness, which belongs to the adult mind, that we force upon school children. We say, never keep your mind aller. The water vessel, taken as a vessel only, raises the question, why does it exist at all? Through its fitness of construction, it offers the apology for its existence. But where it is a work of beauty it has no question to answer, it has nothing to do, but to be. Music fills the infinite between two souls. This has been muffled by the mist of our daily habits. The young student sits with his head bent over his books, and his mind straying in youth's dreamland, where prose is prowling on the desk and poetry hiding in the heart. Deliverance is not for me in renunciation. I feel the embrace of freedom in 1,000 bonds of delight. Age considers, youth ventures. Praise shames me, for I secretly beg for it. Only in love are unity and duality, not in conflict. If you shed tears when you miss the sun, you also miss the stars. The poet's role is that of capturing on their instruments the secret stir of life in the air and giving it voice in the music of prophecy. Life's errors cry for the merciful beauty that can modulate their isolation into a harmony with the whole. Life finds its wealth by the claims of the world, and its worth by the claims of love. Those who are near me do not know that you are nearer to me than they are. Those who speak to me do not know that my heart is full with your unspoken words. Those who crowd in my path do not know that I am walking alone with you. Those who love me do not know that their love brings you to my heart. Now it is time to sit quiet, face to face with thee, and to sing dedication of life in this silent and overflowing leisure. When you came you cried and everybody smiled with joy. When you go, smile and let the world cry for you. The mountain remains unmoved at seeming defeat by the mist. O master poet, I have sat down at thy feet. Only let me make my life simple and straight, like a flute of reed for thee to fill with music. And it shall be my endeavor to reveal thee in my actions, knowing it is thy power gives me strength to act. Life is perpetually creative because it contains in itself that surplus which ever overflows the boundaries of the immediate time and space, restlessly pursuing its adventure of expression in the varied forms of self-realization. I have on my table a violin string. It is free to move in any direction I like. If I twist one end, it responds, it is free. But it is not free to sing. So I take it and fix it into my violin. I bind it, and when it is bound, it is free for the first time to sing. O my only friend, my best beloved, the gates are open in my house, do not pass by like a dream. Perhaps the new dawn will come from this horizon, from the east where the sun rises, and then, unvanquished man will retrace his path of conquest, despite all barriers, to win back his lost heritage. Brahma was excessively sparing with earth, water, and fire. The reckless expenditure of air and ether in his composition was amazing. And, in consequence, he perpetually struggled to outreach the wind, to outrun space itself. Other animals ran only when they had a reason, but the horse would run for no reason whatever, as if to run out of his own skin. Power said to the world, "You are mine." The world kept it prisoner on her throne. Love said to the world, "I am thine." The world gave it the freedom of her house. Where is heaven? You ask me, my child. The sages tell us it is beyond the limits of birth and death, unswayed by the rhythm of day and night. It is not of the earth. But your poet knows that its eternal hunger is for time and space, and it strives evermore to be born in the fruitful dust. Heaven is fulfilled in your sweet body, my child, in your palpitating heart. The sea is beating its drums in joy, the flowers are a-tiptoe to kiss you. For heaven is born in you, in the arms of the mother, dust. Truth looks tawdry when she is overdressed. Truth comes as conqueror only to those who have lost the art of receiving it as friend. My debts are large, my failures great, my shame secret and heavy, yet I come to ask for my good, I quake in fear lest my prayer be granted. What you are you do not see, what you see is your shadow. Whatever we understand and enjoy in human products instantly becomes ours, wherever they might have their origin. Let me feel with unalloyed gladness that all the great glories of man are mine. Grant me that I may not be a coward, feeling your mercy in my success alone, but let me find the grasp of your hand in my failure. The sparrow is sorry for the peacock at the burden of its tail. I leave no trace of wings in the air, but I am glad I have had my flight. A thorn can only be extracted if you know where it is. This I know, that often when I sang, and drummed, and danced, I found my eternity. These paper boats of mine are meant to dance on the ripples of hours, and not reach any destination. Thou hast brought the distant near and made a brother of the stranger. Where roads are made I lose my way. I in the wide water, in the blue sky there is no line of a track, the pathway is hidden by the bird's wings, by the star fires, by the flowers of the wayfaring seasons, and I ask my heart if its blood carries the wisdom of the unseen way. Spurious fame spreads from tongue to tongue like the fog of the early dawn before the sun rises. Time is a wealth of change, but the clock in its parody makes it mere change and no wealth. This little flute of a reed thou hast carried over hills and dales, and hast breathed through it melodies eternally new. Inspiration follows aspiration. Let me not look for allies in life's battlefield but to my own strength. Let me not crave in anxious fear to be saved but for the patience to win my freedom. My fancies are fireflies, specks of living light twinkling in the dark. Love remains a secret even when spoken, for only a true lover truly knows that he is loved. We do not stray out of all words into the ever silent, we do not raise our hands to the void for things beyond hope. The past is always with us, for nothing that once was time can ever depart. We manage to swallow flesh, only because we do not think of the cruel and sinful thing we do. The artist is the lover of nature, therefore he is her slave and her master. No civilized society can thrive upon victims, whose humanity has been permanently mutilated. The world has kissed my soul with its pain, asking for its return in songs. Night's darkness is the bag that bursts with the gold of the dawn. The greed of gain has no time or limit to its capaciousness. Its one object is to produce and consume. It has pity neither for beautiful nature nor for living human beings. It is ruthlessly ready without a moment's hesitation to crush beauty and life. This is the ultimate end of man, to find the one which is in him, which is his truth, which is his soul, the key with which he opens the gate of the spiritual life, the heavenly kingdom. Days are colored bubbles that float upon the surface of fathomless nights. When our universe is in harmony with man, the eternal, we know it as truth, we feel it as beauty. We cannot look upon our lives as dreams of a dreamer who has no awakening in all time. We have a personality to which matter and force are unmeaning unless related to something infinitely personal, whose nature we have discovered, in some measure, in human love, in the greatness of the good, in the martyrdom of heroic souls, in the ineffable beauty of nature, which can never be a mere physical fact nor anything but an expression of personality. You smiled and talked to me of nothing, and I felt that for this I had been waiting long. The progress of our soul is like a perfect poem. It has an infinite idea which, once realized, makes all movements full of meaning and joy. Death is turning out the lamp because the dawn has appeared. The tragedy of human life consists in our vain attempts to stretch the limits of things which can never become unlimited, to reach the infinite by absurdly adding to the rungs of the ladder of the finite. The Taj Mahal rises above the banks of the river like a solitary tear suspended on the cheek of time. If religion, instead of being the manifestation of a spiritual ideal, gives prominence to scriptures and external rites, then does it disturb the peace more than anything else. Let my doing nothing when I have nothing to do, become untroubled in its depth of peace, like the evening in the seashore when the water is silent. The infinite being has assumed unto himself the mystery of finitude, and in him who is love the finite and the infinite are made one. I believe in a spiritual world, not as anything separate from this world, but as its innermost truth. With the breath we draw we must always feel this truth, that we are living in God. I'm lost in the middle of my birthday. I want my friends, their touch, with the earth's last love. I will take life's final offering, I will take the last human blessing. I seem to have loved you in numberless forms, numberless times, in life after life, in age after age, forever. He who wants to do good, knocks at the gate, he who loves, finds the door open. Death's stamp gives value to the coin of life, making it possible to buy with life what is truly precious. We try to realize the essential unity of the world with the conscious soul of man. We learn to perceive the unity held together by the one eternal Spirit, whose power creates the earth, the sky, and the stars, and at the same time irradiates our mind. Those who have everything but Thee, my God, laugh at those who have nothing but Thyself. Long years ago, we made a tryst with destiny, and now the time comes when we shall redeem our pledge. At the stroke of the midnight hour, when the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom. The night kissed the fading day with a whisper, I am death, your mother, from me you will get new birth. We are like newborn children, our power is the power to grow. Let not the hours pass by in the dark. Kindle the lamp of love with thy life. The song I came to sing remains unsung to this day. I have spent my days in stringing and in unstringing my instrument. The time has not come true, the words have not been rightly set, only there is the agony of wishing in my heart. I have not seen his face, nor have I listened to his voice, only I have heard his gentle footsteps from the road before my house. But the lamp has not been lit and I cannot ask him into my house. I live in the hope of meeting with him, but this meeting is not yet. Man is immortal, therefore he must die endlessly. For life is a creative idea, it can only find itself in changing forms. I thought that my voyage had come to its end at the last limit of my power, that the path before me was closed, that provisions were exhausted, and the time come to take shelter in a silent obscurity, but I find that thy will knows no end in me, and when old words die out on the tongue, new melodies break forth from the heart, and where the old tracks are lost, new country is revealed with its wonders. Jewel like the immortal does not boast of its length of years but of the scintillating point of the moment. I have listened and I have looked with open eyes. I have poured my soul into the world seeking the unknown within the known. And I sing out loud in amazement. Unless you have found God in your own soul, the whole world will seem meaningless to you. For man is by nature an artist. There is a moral law in this world which has its application both to individuals and organized bodies of men. You cannot go on violating these laws in the name of your nation, yet enjoy their advantage as individuals. We may forget truth for our envy. The real friendship is like fluorescence, it shines better when everything has darkened. The roots below the earth claim no rewards for making the branches fruitful. A lamp can only light another lamp when it continues to burn in its own flame. Thy infinite gifts come to me only on these very small hands of mine. Ages pass, and still thou pourest, and still there is room to fill. Man's abiding happiness is not in getting anything but in giving himself up to what is greater than himself, to ideas which are larger than his individual life, the idea of his country, of humanity, of God. Music is the purest form of art, and therefore the most direct expression of beauty, with a form and spirit which is one and simple, and least encumbered with anything extraneous. We seem to feel that the manifestation of the infinite in the finite forms of creation is music itself, silent and visible. The biggest changes in a woman's nature are brought by love, in man, by ambition. You have given me your love, filling the world with your gifts. My day is done, and I am like a boat drawn on the beach, listening to the dance music of the tide in the evening. I have read in books that we are called caged birds. I cannot speak for others, but I had so much in this cage of mine that there was not room for it in the universe, at least that is what I then felt. Our self, soul, as a form of God's joy, is deathless. For His joy is amritham, eternal bliss. We know that the life of a soul, which is finite in its expression and infinite in its principle, must go through the portals of death in its journey to realize the infinite. Let this be my last word, that I trust in thy love. The world speaks to me in colors, my soul answers in music. Dark clouds become heaven's flowers when kissed by light. And because I love this life I know I shall love death as well. The child cries out when from the right breast the mother takes it away, in the very next moment to find in the left one its consolation. I do not love him because he is good, but because he is my child. A butterfly flitting from flower to flower ever remains mine, I lose the one that is netted by me. Great suffering brings with it the power of great endurance. When sorrow is deepest, all the forces of patience and courage are banded together to do their duty. So while we are cowards before petty troubles, great sorrows make us brave by rousing our truer manhood. And because I love this life, I know I shall love death as well. Be brave, right through, and leave for the unknown. Art awakens a sense of real by establishing an intimate relationship between our inner being and the universe at large, bringing us a consciousness of deep joy. The traveler has to knock at every alien door to come to his own, and one has to wander through all the outer worlds to reach the innermost shrine at the end. Yet what each one does is by no means of little moment. The grass has to put forth all its energy to draw sustenance from the uttermost tips of its rootlets simply to grow where it is as grass. It does not vainly strive to become a banyan tree, and so the earth gains a lovely carpet of green. It is the docile who achieve the most impossible things in this world. When we rejoice in our fullness, then we can part with our fruits with joy. He who wants to do good knocks at the gate, he who loves finds the door open. You can't cross a sea by merely staring into the water. You are invited to the festival of this world and your life is blessed. Never be afraid of the moments, thus sings the voice of the everlasting. If life's journey be endless, where is its goal? The answer is, it is everywhere. We are in a palace which has no end, but which we have reached. By exploring it and extending our relationship with it, we are ever making it more and more our own. Languages are jealous sovereigns, and passports are rarely allowed for travelers to cross their strictly guarded borders. The best kind of wealth is to give up inordinate desires. Bees sip honey from flowers and hum their thanks when they leave. The gaudy butterfly is sure that the flowers owe thanks to him. The meaning of this is, that whomsoever we love, in him we find our own soul in the highest sense. The final truth of our existence lies in this. God, the Supreme Soul, is in me, as well as in my Son, and my joy in my Son is the realization of this truth. The weak can be terrible because they try furiously to appear strong. In death the many become one, in life the one become many. For every child that is born, it brings with it the hope that God is not yet disappointed with man. When I go from hence, let this be my parting word, that what I have seen is unsurpassable. I have tasted of the hidden honey of this lotus that expands on the ocean of light, and thus I am blessed, let this be my parting word. In this playhouse of infinite forms I have had my play, and here have I caught sight of him who is formless. My whole body and my limbs have thrilled with his touch who is beyond touch, and if the end comes here, let it come, let this be my parting word. The higher nature in man always seeks for something which transcends itself and yet is its deepest truth, which claims all its sacrifice, yet makes this sacrifice its own recompense. This is man's dharma, man's religion, and man's self is the vessel. Beauty is simply reality seen with the eyes of love. I am able to love my God because He gives me freedom to deny Him. The movement of life has to rest in its own music. Not hammer strokes, but dance of the water, sings the pebbles into perfection. If thou speakest not, I will fill my heart with thy silence and endure it. I will keep still and wait like the night with starry vigil and its head bent low with patience. The morning will surely come, the darkness will vanish, and thy voice pour down in golden streams breaking through the sky. Then thy words will take wing in songs from every one of my birds' nests, and thy melodies will break forth in flowers in all my forest groves. We manage to swallow flesh only because we do not think of the cruel and sinful thing that we do. Cruelty is a fundamental sin, and admits of no arguments or nice distinctions. If only we do not allow our heart to grow callous, it protests against cruelty, is always clearly heard, and yet we go on perpetrating cruelties easily, merrily. All of us, in fact, anyone who does not join in is dubbed a crank. Merely to exist is not enough. Compliments win friends, honesty loses them. Joy is everywhere, it is in the earth's green covering of grass, in the blue serenity of the sky, in the reckless exuberance of spring, in the severe abstinence of gray winter, in the living flesh that animates our bodily frame, in the perfect poise of the human figure, noble and upright, in living, in the exercise of all our powers, in the acquisition of knowledge. Joy is there everywhere. Let my love like sunlight surround you and yet give you illumined freedom. God waits to win back His own flowers as gifts from man's hands. April, like a child, writes hieroglyphs on dust with flowers, wipes them away and forgets. True deliverance of man is the deliverance from avidya, i.e. ignorance. It is not in destroying anything that is positive and real, for that cannot be possible, but that which is negative, which obstructs our vision of truth. Men are cruel, but man is kind. The cure for all the illness of life is stored in the inner depth of life itself, the access to which becomes possible when we are alone. This solitude is a world in itself, full of wonders and resources unthought of. It is absurdly near, yet so unapproachably distant. Man goes into the noisy crowd to drown his own clamor of silence. Drunk with the joy of singing, I forget myself and call thee friend who art my Lord. If you want to know India, study Vivekananda. In him everything is positive and nothing negative. O beauty, find thyself in love, not in the flattery of thy mirror. The heart wants to go on, that is its dharma. For unless it moves, it dies. Your love keeps me afloat but will remain the anchor in my soul. I don't really have words to describe how romantic I find that. Your love is what keeps me going, but it's also the anchor that keeps me close to you. I love it. It sometimes strikes me how immensely fortunate I am that each day should take its place in my life, either reddened with the rising and setting sun, or refreshingly cool with deep, dark clouds, or blooming like a white flower in the moonlight. What untold wealth! Plant flowers in others' gardens and your life becomes a bouquet. Submitted by Lisa Leto, Coordinator, Nutrition Resource and Volunteer Center, College of Pharmacy in Nutrition, University of Saskatchewan, Saskatchewan, Canada. I slept and I dreamed that life is all joy, I woke and I saw that life is all service. I served and I saw that service is joy. The tyrant claims freedom to kill freedom, and yet keep it for himself. It is in the very heart of our activity that we search for our goal. The same stream of life that runs through the world runs through my veins night and day. The fundamental desire of life is the desire to exist. Children are living beings, more living than grown-up people who have built shells of habit around themselves. Therefore it is absolutely necessary for their mental health and development that they should not have mere schools for their lessons, but a world whose guiding spirit is personal love. The singer alone does not make a song, there has to be someone who hears. Broken song. According to the true Indian view, our consciousness of the world, merely as the sum total of things that exist, and as governed by laws, is imperfect. But it is perfect when our consciousness realizes all things as spiritually one with it, and there. The meaning of our self is not to be found in its separateness from God and others, but in the ceaseless realization of yoga, of union, not on the side of the canvas where it is blank, but on the side where the picture is being painted. Only those of tranquil minds, and none else, can attain abiding joy, by realizing within their souls the being who manifests one essence in a multiplicity of forms. And, indeed, What little of beauty and peace is to be found in the societies of men is owing to the daily performance of small duties, not to big doings and fine talk. When the heart is hard and parched up, come upon me with a shower of mercy. When grace is lost from life, come with a burst of song. When tumultuous work raises its din on all sides shutting me out from beyond, come to me, my Lord of silence, with thy peace and rest. When my beggarly heart sits crouched, shut up in a corner, break open the door, my King, and come with the ceremony of a king. When desire blinds the mind with delusion and dust, O thou Holy One, thou wakeful, come with thy light and thy thunder. Faith is the bird that feels the light and sings when the dawn is still dark. In effect, the people who change our lives the most begin to sing to us while we are still in darkness. If we listen to their song, we will see the dawning of a new part of ourselves. When I stand before thee at the day's end, thou shalt see my scars and know that I had my wounds and also my healing. The main object of teaching is not to give explanations, but to knock at the doors of the mind. Music fills the infinite between two souls. Overstraining is the enemy of accomplishment. Calm strength that arises from a deep and inexhaustible source is what brings success. We read the world wrong and say that it deceives us. The more one lives alone on the river or in the open country, the clearer it becomes that nothing is more beautiful or great than to perform the ordinary duties of one's daily life simply and naturally. Once we dreamt that we were strangers. We wake up to find that we were dear to each other. Reach high, for stars lie hidden in you. Dream deep, for every dream precedes the goal. Do not linger to gather flowers to keep them, but walk on, for flowers will keep themselves blooming all your way. The child learns so easily because he has a natural gift, but adults, because they are tyrants, ignore natural gifts and say that children must learn through the same process that they learned by. We insist upon forced mental feeding in our lessons. For many years, at great cost, I traveled through many countries, saw the high mountains, the oceans. The only things I did not see were the sparkling dewdrops in the grass just outside my door. Great calm, generous detachment, selfless love, disinterested effort, these are what make for success in life. If you can find peace in yourself and can spread comfort around you, you will be happier than an empress. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free. Where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls. Where words come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms toward perfection. Where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit. Where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action. Into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. Only in silence I find myself. Life in the city is so hectic that you lose the right perspective. It's important to know that our biggest resources are in our heart. Love is an endless mystery, because there is no reasonable cause that could explain it. The flower fades and dies, but he who wears the flower has not to mourn for it forever. The touch of an infinite mystery passes over the trivial and the familiar, making it break out into ineffable music. The trees, the stars, and the blue hills ache with a meaning which can never be uttered in words. Let me not beg for the stilling of my pain, but for the heart to conquer it. Let life be beautiful like summer flowers and death like autumn leaves. The stars are not afraid to appear like fireflies. Somewhere in the arrangement of this world there seems to be a great concern about giving us delight, which shows that, in the universe, over and above the meaning of matter and forces, there is a message conveyed through the magic touch of personality. Is it merely because the rose is round and pink that it gives me more satisfaction than the gold which could buy me the necessities of life, or any number of slaves? Somehow we feel that through a rose the language of love reached our hearts. Those who think to reach God by running away from the world, when and where do they expect to meet Him? We are reaching Him here in this very spot, now at this very moment. The small wisdom is like water in a glass, clear, transparent, pure. The great wisdom is like the water in the sea, dark, mysterious, impenetrable. My dearest life, I know you are not mine forever, but do love me even if it's for this moment. After that I shall vanish into the forest where you cast me. I won't ask anyone for anything again. Give me something that can last me till I die. All that is not given is lost. We cross infinity with every step, we meet eternity in every second. The newer people of this modern age are more eager to amass than to realize. Most people believe the mind to be a mirror, more or less accurately reflecting the world outside them, not realizing on the contrary that the mind is itself the principal element of creation. Whatever we treasure for ourselves separates us from others, our possessions are our limitations. To find God, you must welcome everything. My eyes have seen much, but they are not weary. My ears have heard much, but they thirst for more. Wrong is wrong only when you are at liberty to choose. The one who plants trees, knowing that he will never sit in their shade, has at least started to understand the meaning of life. A teacher can never truly teach unless he is still learning himself. A lamp can never light another lamp unless it continues to burn its own flame. The teacher who has come to the end of his subject, who has no living traffic with his knowledge but merely repeats his lesson to his students, can only load their minds. He cannot quicken them. Love is when the soul starts to sing and the flowers of your life bloom on their own. Love gives beauty to everything it touches. If I can't make it through one door, I'll go through another door, or I'll make a door. Something terrific will come no matter how dark the present. The great morning which is for all, rises in the east. Love's gift cannot be given, it waits to be accepted. If someone smells a flower and says he does not understand, the reply to him is, "There is nothing to understand, it is only a scent." If he persists, saying, "That I know, but what does it all mean?" then one has either to change the subject, or make it more abstruse by saying that the scent is the shape which the universal joy takes in the flower. Who are you, reader, reading my poems 100 years hence? I cannot send you one single flower from this wealth of the spring, one single streak of gold from yonder clouds. Open your doors and look abroad. From your blossoming garden gather fragrant memories of the vanished flowers of 100 years before. In the joy of your heart may you feel the living joy that sang one spring morning, sending its glad voice across 100 years. The same stream of life that runs through my veins night and day runs through the world and dances in rhythmic measures. It is the same life that shoots in joy through the dust of the earth in numberless blades of grass and breaks into tumultuous waves of leaves and flowers. And joy is everywhere, it is in the earth's green covering of grass, in the blue serenity of the sky. Set the bird's wings with gold and it will never again soar in the sky. Let me not pray to be sheltered from dangers but to be fearless in facing them. Let me not beg for the stilling of my pain but for the heart to conquer it. Let me not look for allies in life's battlefield but to my own strength. Let me not crave in anxious fear to be saved but hope for the patience to win my freedom. Grant me that I may not be a coward, feeling your mercy in my success alone, but let me find the grasp of your hand in my failure. From the grasses in the field to the stars in the sky, each one is doing just that. And there is such profound peace and surpassing beauty in nature because none of these tries forcibly to transgress its limitations. Patriotism cannot be our final spiritual shelter, my refuge is humanity. I will not buy glass for the price of diamonds, and I will never allow patriotism to triumph over humanity as long as I live. Stray birds of summer come to my window to sing and fly away. And yellow leaves of autumn, which have no songs, flutter and fall there with a sigh. The false can never grow into truth by growing in power. Let us unite, not in spite of our differences, but through them. For differences can never be wiped away, and life would be so much the poorer without them. Let all human races keep their own personalities, and yet come together, not in a uniformity that is dead, but in a unity that is living. I've traveled all around the world to see the rivers and the mountains, and I've spent a lot of money. I have gone to great lengths, I have seen everything, but I forgot to see just outside my house a dewdrop on a little blade of grass, a dewdrop which reflects in its convexity the whole universe around you. Whether joy or sorrow, pain or pleasure, whatsoever may befall thee, accept it serenely with an unvanquished heart. The most important lesson that man can learn from life is not that there is pain in this world, but that it is possible for him to transmute it into joy. The problem is not how to wipe out all differences, but how to unite with all differences intact. If you cry because the sun has gone out of your life, your tears will prevent you from seeing the stars. Discipline divorced from wisdom is not true discipline, but merely the meaningless following of custom, which is only a disguise for stupidity. The greatest distance in this world is not that between living and death, it is when I am just before you, and you don't know that I love you. Let me light my lamp, says the star, and never debate if it will help to remove the darkness. It is very simple to be happy, but it is very difficult to be simple. Go not to the temple to put flowers upon the feet of God, first fill your own house with the fragrance of love. Go not to the temple to light candles before the altar of God, first remove the darkness of sin from your heart. Go not to the temple to bow down your head in prayer, first learn to bow in humility before your fellow men. Go not to the temple to pray on bended knees, first bend down to lift someone who is downtrodden. Go not to the temple to ask for forgiveness for your sins, first forgive from your heart those who have sinned against you. The earth paints a portrait of the sun at dawn with sunflowers in bloom. Unhappy with the portrait, she erases it and paints it again and again. While God waits for his temple to be built of love, men bring stones. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free. Life itself is a strange mixture. We have to take it as it is, try to understand it, and then to better it.